Are you ready to get your sports banter on? Brian Heminger, love child of Albert Einstein and Howard Cosell, with a body chiseled by Zeus himself. Brandon Sharples, a man who could beat Mike Tyson in a spelling bee. Together, they form the At Odds Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the At Odds Podcast, back from the dead, brought to you by Belly Up Sports. I am your host, Brian Heminger, joined today by our fabulous co-hosts, Brandon Sharples. Brandon, how you doing today, man?
Pretty good, Brian. What happened to calling me Silky Smooth, baby?
I forgot. It's been, what, 4 months?
Yeah. Yeah, Brandon. Silky Smooth Sharples. I will always have that nickname from you from now on. So don't ever forget one.
All right.
But no, it's awesome to be back, guys. It's really cool. Took a little hiatus. Brian got a new job, and I moved up to. I didn't move up to Ann Arbor. But I work in Ann Arbor at the VA hospital up there and go to school up in Ann Arbor. So, we took a little bit of time apart, but we got some new adventures going on, and we're back better than ever. Right?
Yeah, and we've got some a lot of exciting stuff to talk about, not just in the sports world, but just what's been going on with us. So I figured I'd let you get started first, Brandon, since you've got the most big changes going on. So take it away, man.
All right. So like I said, I moved up to Ann Arbor. I'm working in the oncology hematology with cancer patients up there. There's some of the best and worst times up there, you know what I mean? So I don't want to get too much into that. This is a good time. But that was something that I started. I started going to school at Eastern Michigan University. I'll be starting at University of Michigan. I'll be a Wolverine in the fall. And I actually changed my major. I was a molecular biology major, and I actually was going into my senior year. I'm pretty far into that degree, and I just kind of had a change of heart of what I wanted to do with my life. I think that's okay. I think everybody needs to start figuring out ways to enjoy their life instead of just kind of going with emotions and picking something. And what I enjoy the most is I love sports. I love talking about sports. I love writing about sports. I love this podcast. I love writing. I write, little small movie scripts. I write show scripts, and I'm hoping to move that forward. So I changed my degree to electronic media with the emphasis on journalism and television. And, it's something I'm pretty excited about. And I think that's going to kind of mend well what we're doing here. We just started this Belly Up Sports, which is a new sports media company that me, Mike Brown, Blaine Napier, and yourself, Brian, have all kind of chipped in and started over here in the last week. We really got things rolling. We got our website going up, bellyupsports.com. We got Twitter at bellyupsports. We got our Facebook page, and things were launched today. We launched it today. So if any listeners out there or future listeners, go ahead and check those places out. It's super excited about that. We got a lot of things going on. Some little things I want to talk about with that is, in addition to this podcast that we've kind of blended together with that company that we started, I'm going to be, and whoever wants to join me, Brian, you can join me, Blaine, Mike, anybody that wants to join me. I'm going to be resigning from my position at the VA starting at the end of this month, and I'm going to focus 100% of my attention on finishing school and running this company with these guys. And I'm super excited. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be starting in Ohio and up into Michigan, Ann Arbor, Toledo, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Dayton, Columbus, anywhere, into Fort Wayne, anywhere. And I'm going to be traveling to different restaurants, and different breweries. I'm going to be trying different craft beers. I'm going to be trying, man food, wings, beer, ribs, chicken, all that stuff. Just really, I'm going to really hone in on with a man life, what it takes to be a man these days. And I'm going to be eating all this food. I'm going to be doing reviews on it. And I'm going to be doing reviews on the beer, and I'm just going to make fun videos. And I'm going to be making videos of me driving to these places and my road rage habits, and basically just filming exciting things about my day-to-day life, and bring in some entertainment to all these people and to really try to grow this company and make it something unique. So I'm really excited about that, and I'm excited for everybody to be able to be a part of that. And I've been writing these blogs. I wrote up my first blog. Everybody check that out too, about why America is so unpatriotic towards the Patriots, why everybody hates them. So I wrote a nice little blog about that. So go ahead and check that out. So that's pretty much what we got going on right now, Brian. What about you?
Yeah, well, you know me, I always keep crazy busy. Sometimes it makes me very difficult to get a hold of, but as you guys remember, about the time of our last episode, I think I was announcing that I just got a job as a news writer over at Upper Sandusky's Daily Chief Union newspaper. And at the time I got hired, I was the lowest person on the totem pole, writer number 4, the most recent hire. And since then, I'm already the number 2 in seniority. We've had 2 people leave. So I have risen through the ranks. I'm now the lead news writer over there. So I handle like all kinds of that stuff, all the village council meetings. Anytime like a state representative stops in the area, they get to talk to me, or congressman, like you name it, anything news related. Like some guy took his truck, and drove right through the Bridgestone factory in Upper Sandusky and did over $1 million in damage this week. And I got to go over there and get like quotes from the Bridgestone people and pictures from the police department. And I mean, it's a blast. I am absolutely loving my job. And I love getting to tell people stories and reporting news. So that's one of the things I do. I also edit still over at MMAoddsbreaker.com. And that's the site that like releases all the betting odds for all the MMA fights, UFC, Bellator, you name it. And then I also still do prospect writing for the Indians. So, and then on top of that, we're doing the podcast again. So I'm going to be all over the place, but we have set down a solid schedule that shouldn't interfere with any of the stuff I'm doing. We'll be doing this show not just once a week, but twice a week. Tonight, we're doing it on Tuesday, but that's not going to be our regular night. We're doing it on Tuesday because we launched the Belly Up website today. But moving forward, we're going to be having every episode on Thursday nights and Monday nights at 10 p.m. So it shouldn't interfere with anybody's sports watching for the weekend. It shouldn't interfere too much with like Monday Night Football or any of that stuff. It should just be just about the perfect time to just settle in and listen and enjoy the show. So I'm really excited about what we're doing moving forward.
Yeah, me too, man. I'm ready to get into it right now. What do we got for our first topic for these guys?
First topic for today, obviously, we just had the AFC and NFC title games. They decided who's going to be playing in the Super Bowl. And I want to hear everything you have to say about the Minnesota Vikings, your team, against the Philadelphia Eagles and what happened in that game. Because I know for me, I could talk for hours, days and days about when the Indians choked against the Yankees in the playoffs. So I want to hear what happened with you and your team.
It was just a nightmare for me. I hadn't been that excited for an NFL game in a long time. A really long time. And probably at least since the Saints and the Vikings played in the NFC Championship game, and the Vikings should have won that one as well. Let's recap that. We fumbled inside the 22 times going into the red zone, and then we're within field goal range, and Favre rolls right, throws crossbody left, and throws a pick, and we end up going overtime, and we lose in that stupid rule back then where all they had to do was kick a field goal, and we didn't get a chance to run it back. They changed that whole overtime rule because of it. So my heartbreak led to a change in the overtime rule. So I had to deal with that bullshit. And, the Vikings have been just kind of mediocre ever since. And this year I was just extremely efficient on offense, the best defense in football, just across the board. Them in Saxonville were just dominating the NFL defensively. And the Philly lost Carson Wentz, and I didn't see any place on the field outside of their lines, like their O-line is pretty good, but they had some injuries on there and some guys coming back from injury. They weren't 100% on the offensive line. So I thought that our defensive line would be able to make a push towards that. And the only place I thought Philly had any sort of fucking advantage whatsoever was the defensive line in the entire game from top to bottom. And that defensive line did show up. They pressured the shit out of Case Keenum. He obviously didn't show up for the moment. The whole team didn't show up for the moment. The very first drive, we ran right down the field, scored that touchdown. It looked like we were just, running drills. It was so simple. I was like, wow, we're going to beat these guys. And after that first drive, we just fell apart. We made zero adjustments whatsoever. We changed it. They were running blitzing constantly. All they were doing, blitz, running straight up the field. We ran no screen game. We didn't do shit. We never went deep. And it was just a terrible gameplay. I never made any adjustments. It was just like we got out-coached. And then I started thinking to myself, man, if we did make it to the Super Bowl, Bill Belichick would have fucked us up if this is the kind of coaching adjustments we're, equipped to make. So, yeah, I was pretty upset about that. And it got to the point where I just couldn't even barely watch the damn thing. But as a fan of football, as a fan of the Vikings, and the fact I wanted to watch the whole game and be able to talk and point about it, I finished the damn game out, and I dealt with the bullshit. But they made Nick Foles look like fucking Tom Brady in his prime when he's playing with Moss. I mean, this dude was throwing the ball all over the field, he was running bootlegs, just slinging it in 10-inch windows. I mean, he was just doing everything. He had all day back there, and it was just a nightmare. It was just an absolute nightmare. We had drop ball, guys not running routes, rounding out routes. It was just ridiculous. And I felt like they just didn't even want to be there. And you got Philly fans just loud as shit in the whole stadium. And it just, honestly, what do you want me to say about it? They choked. They were from special teams to receivers to running back to even the quarterback to defensive, backfield to the linebackers. Other than the defensive line and probably the offensive line was a wash at this point. Where on paper were the Vikings to put this game? Let alone get beat 38-7 to the frickin' Eagles. The Eagles. To me, they being as a 1 seed at home just shows where the level of where the difference in talent was on that field. Vegas thought that the Vikings were so superior in talent that they gave them a 3-point. They were a 3.5 at one point favorites at home against the 1 seed. So everybody, because if you want to call me a homer, but Vegas, who's in the into making money, is that's where they put their money on the Vikings covering that. So I'm not as crazy as people like to think. So that's my take on that. It was fucking bullshit.
Yeah. For me, the tone of the entire game shifted after Minnesota scored, Philly punted. Like, that's the moment right there where Minnesota could have, put a stranglehold on the Eagles. They get the ball.
Yeah.
They have they get 6 plays in, and then, boom, interception for a touchdown. Minnesota never recovered.
Give me a break on that throw. What the hell was he doing? They said, his arm got hit. He wasn't able to make the throw. That's why it was a little short. Even if he didn't get interfered with, even if he just had a clean pocket to throw the ball, where was the ball going to go? He was double teamed. It was a terrible decision to throw that ball. Nobody's tackling. McKinnon gets blocked. And it was just freaking Ronald Darby just levels McKinnon, the only guy on the field that could even make the tackle to stop that. So, from that moment on, it was just over. And if you saw my Facebook, once they scored that second time, I even wrote, yeah, this shit's over. You can just tell. I'm really good at, telling what the flow of the game. I will say it's over because even if it's 14-0, everybody's like, oh, no, these comebacks happen. Not likely. Not likely. Like when they were playing the Saints, when the Saints became within 2, I was like, this game's over. I go, we can't move the ball, and we're not stopping anybody. This game's over. I'm sitting here at my parents' house with my stepdad next to me. He's like, oh, it ain't over, Brandon, it ain't over till it's over. And then Saints kicked the field goal to win the game. And obviously we had that miracle and we won the game, obviously. But it took a miracle. I still knew that it was basically over. It's because you can tell by the flow of the game, and I can tell by the flow of that game that the Vikings were just not going to win that game. Especially when I thought maybe when they came at, well, one, they gave up that field goal. at the very end of the first half, and that was just terrible. So that really put a damper on it. Then Philly got the ball back, and they made adjustments. It was over. The Vikings just like to make heartbreak for everybody. They had no business losing to the Saints in 2009 and 2010. Well, it was 2010, but 2009 season. They had no business losing this. They kept fumbling the ball away, like I said earlier. And 98, when Moss's rookie year, they're 15-1. They lose Dirty Birds when Gary Anderson misses the only kick all year. Goes overtime. They lose in overtime. They get blown out by the Giants in 2002. Or no, that was 2001. Yeah, 2001. They got blown out by the Giants like 49-7, something like that, or 49. I can't even remember. I remember just being furious and getting blown up. People calling me my phone. This is pre-cell phone days, so people were actually calling my house phone to fucking harass me about that Giants game. So I was like,
I want to sympathize with you. I really do. But being a Browns fan and just watching my team go 0-16, it's tough.
No, you can sympathize with me because as remarkable as the Browns fans are,
heartbreak, but
yeah, well, it's not even just that. It's that we're there, we're right there. We were favored to win that game, to go to the Super Bowl and play in our home field.
Yeah, and
the Browns, they're just the Browns. It's one of those things where the Browns fans get super pissed, but they're never going anywhere. Do you remember our last podcast that we had about the NFL? We both thought the Browns would be good. I thought they'd be 8-8. Like, they have a good roster.
I didn't expect them. I didn't expect them quite to be 8-8, but I thought that they would. I think I joked that I thought they would double their win total from last year, and the year before they had one win, and they couldn't even do that.
Yeah.
So,
but no, yeah.
Let's talk about a game that was actually competitive, and it was, the Patriots Jaguars. That's the one everybody's talking about.
Yeah,
Brady with another fourth quarter comeback.
Go ahead, talk about it. I got all kinds of things to say about that, but I'll let you go first, and I'll interject if I have to.
Oh, that's fine. It was a classic battle. It seems like this happens all the time. Like, a team can get out and jump on the Patriots, and then Belichick makes some sort of genius adjustment. I hate that asshole so much, but I respect him. And then they make this crazy comeback. It happened in the Super Bowl. It happened constantly throughout the season. It happened I think it happened the other game in the playoffs too, before the Jaguars. So, I mean, it just feels like you can never count the Patriots out no matter what. And I want them to lose. I'm one of those assholes that is constantly cheering against the Patriots because I'm just so used to failure from my teams that I hate the teams that have constant success. So I want them to go down.
Is it safe to say that you just don't like their success? That you will admit that you have a little bit of a jealousy towards their success?
Oh, of course, especially being a fan of Ohio sports. The one bright shining moment for Ohio sports fans is the Buckeyes. I mean, because most of our teams have just been massive losers. I mean, the Indians right now are the longest team in baseball without a championship. Like the White Sox got theirs, the Red Sox got theirs, the Cubs got theirs, and now the Indians since 1940.
I'm a Rangers fan my entire life, and we have zero.
I know they've never had one, but you know what? The Rangers didn't exist when the Indians won their last World Series, so the Indians still got you beat.
Yeah, we were made in the 70s, but yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting that the Browns do have a lot of history of either passing up.
I actually have
players.
Yeah, I have a funny fact for you before we get to that. Okay, in the last 20 years, in the last 30 years, who is the winningest Browns coach?
Eric Mangini.
Nope.
Who is it?
Bill Belichick.
Are you shitting me?
No.
He was
only there for like
1
2
year.
or 3 seasons, and that fucker won like 10 games each year. And they went to the playoffs
that
every year
awesome.
before they left.
Hey, they left.
It was Bill Belichick.
That's great, man. That is awesome. He's the best. I mean, you can't deny this kind of shit. And I'm glad that you can openly admit you seem to have character. So at least you can admit that it's just kind of a jealousy thing and that you're just sick of seeing the same people. There's other people that just go a step further, and it's just always, oh, the refs this, Belichick's paying the refs, he's whispering in their ear, or Goodell, he makes so much money off of Patriots winning. He doesn't make money off the Patriots winning. The dude went on a witch hunt that destroyed Tom Brady's reputation and forced the Supreme Court to uphold a 4-game ban on his ass, fined the Patriots, about $1 million in total, and took their draft pick away from them. Why the hell?
Still make the Super Bowl.
Yeah, why the fuck would he want? Why? Yeah, and they won. Why the hell would he want the Patriots to keep winning? It takes away from the parity of the league, for one, and two, it makes him look like an ass because he tried to destroy them pretty much, and they still won. The only thing that you can even consider some sort of conspiracy is that maybe the Patriots winning all the time creates some sort of buzz that unites the entire country to watch them lose. It's like everybody always talk mad shit about Floyd Mayweather, but when the dude fought, everybody watched because they're hoping to catch him lose. They wanted to be a part of that. They wanted to be a part of his failure. That's how sad we are as a society, that we would pay money to see people fail to make ourselves feel better at our shortcomings. And that's all it is. To me,
it's not always shortcomings though. Sometimes, people play up being the villain because that makes money. Like people will root against you. So yeah, exactly. So it's not always that they hate success. It's also, they just hate a bad guy and they want to see the bad guy lose. And if you play that role, you can make a shit ton of money.
Yeah, but usually the bad guy is like a very successful person. So I think it coincides. Like people always like to play the moral card, cheating bastards, blah blah blah. But dude, those are the same people that are probably cheating at their job, or lackluster, cheating on their spouses. They don't have the highest moral ground either. But they just will get on these forums and these chats and just trash the shit out of Tom Brady and the Patriots, trying to like devalue his greatness, saying that deflate gate, buy gate, blah blah blah. You know what? Everybody that's listening to this, I wrote that blog and it has all this in there. So please read it. It's an amazing blog. And it just goes over basically Spygate was definitely an over exaggerated issue. They just filmed the coaching signals that was from across the sideline, which was actually a common practice for decades in the NFL. It was so commonly used that year they did that, a new memo was sent out by the NFL telling all the teams to stop doing it. The Patriots just didn't listen to the memo and did it in a different way. And it was week 2 of the season. And what did they do once they got called out? They basically they wanted to prove to America that, hey, this is some bullshit. It gives you the slightest advantages, if any. So guess what we're going to do? We're going to set every scoring record in the NFL. Brady's going to throw 50 touchdown passes. Moss is going to catch 23, and we're going to go 16-0 and shove it up your asses. And they did. They killed everybody. And that's what they did. And, same with the Deflategate. It's ridiculous. The balls were deflated so slightly that a freaking teenager actually did the math on this, and their math was wrong, and they definitely could have deflated due to the cold. But what they did do is they replaced the balls with regulation air in them in the second half, and they outscored them, the Colts, 28-0, and it was 17-7 at half. They proceeded to outscore them 28-0 in the second half with regulation balls. Where in that is there a tainted Super Bowl that everybody calls? Deflategate tainted. How's that tainted? The dude took regulation balls and beat their ass even more. And then when everybody was on their ass about it, they went to the Super Bowl's regulation and beat the Legion of Boom and won again. So it's like, where's all this tainted bullshit at? It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. The refs are not in their back pocket. I cringe the 2 times this year when the Patriots were on the winning end of like the overturned touchdowns, like with Buffalo and the Jets. I cringe because I'm like, great. The whole goddamn country is going to be talking shit about Tom Brady and saying that this is rigged and all this other shit. I just cringe. But this shit happened to the Lions. The Lions were the originators of getting fucked over by touchdowns getting reversed. Remember that Calvin Johnson? There was like a couple of them that happened to them. The Patriots were nowhere near that damn game, but nobody cares because because guess what? I don't even remember who they were playing that Calvin Johnson catch. I really don't remember when they reversed that Calvin Johnson touchdown because he had the ball in his hand and touched the ground. I don't even remember who they were playing, and that's why the America doesn't care because it was an insignificant team they were playing and didn't have any significance on the field or on the season. But with the Patriots, they know the Patriots are so good that they don't want the average Joe teams to be getting screwed by the Patriots getting any sort of advantage. And it's like, people always talk about Tom Brady having all these, these people like Gronk and Welker and all these. You know what? Tom Brady has done more with less than any other quarterback in history of the NFL. I don't even care if he has Gronk. Gronk hasn't been healthy ever. He just left the game. He only played less than half a game against Jacksonville, and they still came back and won without him. He takes people like Edelman and turns Welker into this monster, and he just takes Chris Hogan and makes Chris Hogan, who was an afterthought in Buffalo, and makes him a number 2 wide receiver. My boy, my favorite player of all time, Moss, fucking wilting away in Oakland, goes over the Patriots, sets all these records, and gets in and helps them go 16-0. It's just like Tom Brady and Bill Belichick make everybody around them better, and that's why.
Yeah, I think you can tell. You can tell by how much success some of those guys have when they leave too. You know what I mean? Like a lot of those like skill players, like a lot of them don't do a whole lot, but they do amazing things when they're with the Patriots. I mean, it seems like the only guy that's done amazing since he left was Jimmy Garoppolo, which you totally called.
Oh yeah, I love Jimmy. I was begging for the Vikings to get his ass, but I love Jimmy Garoppolo. But I think the only Welker when he went to
he did okay with the Broncos. Yeah.
Yeah. He had a good couple seasons, and then the concussions held up. But other than Welker, I mean, I can't think of anybody that left there and dominated. Blunt left there after scoring 18 touchdowns and kind of was pretty much mediocre this year. Only had 2 touchdowns, and he scored that one against the Vikings. But yeah, it's like, yeah, it's you just gotta, at this point in time, you just have to accept the greatness, stop making excuses. It's okay to acknowledge somebody's amazing at something and that you're not. You know what I mean? Or that your favorite team's not. It's okay to acknowledge that people are better. So that's my take. But as far as if we want to go back to that game, the turning point was obvious. They game planned around that aggressive. Basically, what happens to Saxonville? I can't even call them Jacksonville. Saxonville only ever rushes 4. So they're constantly being able to run the zone defenses and stuff like that, and they can go man to man with like Ramsey on the outside and stuff like that, and they just game planned around that. And they made adjustments mid game. They started hitting them with these crossing routes like hardcore, and they were just getting the ball out quick, just chunking them down the field. And then they hit that Hogan down the sideline. That was a long pass, and it was just and then they were getting penalties because Bowie and Ramsey, they just could not keep up. They couldn't keep up. They were just, when you run those crossing routes, you're in man to man. I mean, you're just basically draining the shit out of those defensive backs, and they were just starting to get tired. They just couldn't keep up anymore. And Brady basically what Belichick and Brady do is they take these defenses and they just wear them down. And with these short, quick throws, and they're making everybody run man to man by spreading them out. They spread everybody out. They're forcing linebackers to cover, the running back, because all of New England running backs are basically slot receivers at some point. So they're just spreading them out, tiring them down, and teams like Jacksonville and the Vikings, anybody else that has those sort of aggressive defenses that can rush for and kick everybody else back, they they get tired. They get tired because the Patriots just make these adjustments and they're just slinging the ball all over the damn field, and eventually they know they're just going to get mismatches. So that's why, at the end of the day, it's just as simple as Belichick and Brady made adjustments, and that's it. And the refs did not blow the fucking game. I don't want to hear that shit. Stop being haters. That's not the case. There's missed calls everywhere. I don't want to see these fucking still shots of people getting held on the end while Deion Lewis is running for the game-winning touchdown. You know what? You can probably find 14 or 15 of those damn things for Jacksonville's favor throughout that game too. You know what I mean? You could probably look in the fourth or first quarter, and
if you only look at one side, then you're going to see the offenses.
Yeah, I think you could probably call holding on every damn play. The game would never end. You know what I mean? There's holding all over the damn field. It's a judgment call, and it is what it is. I can guarantee, like if you just rewatch the game, you can find still shots of Jacksonville holding. You could probably find them of defensive holding, offensive holding. You can find them all over the place. That's the damn nature of the business. So I hear it. I don't want to hear it. The best team won, and the Vikings deserve to lose. They played like shit. And I don't think that Nick Foles is going to be able to do shit against the Patriots. I think that this is going to be too big of a stage for him. I think the Patriots are going to win. I put this on Facebook, and I still think it holds true. Patriots are 5.5-point favorite. I think they're going to win by 10 plus. I think that the only thing that's going to happen is early on in the game, Philly's going to be able to bring pressure, and people are going to be talking shit about Brady on Facebook and Twitter for probably the first half. I would not doubt if the Eagles go into halftime with like a 13-10 lead or some shit like that, right? But
all right,
as the game goes
Brandon,
on,
I actually have something I wanted to interrupt with. We have a caller on the line. Bill from Philadelphia wants to talk about those penalties that you were referencing. So, Bill,
all right, let's hear it.
The floor is yours,
how you
man.
doing, guys? Hey,
we're doing great.
Hey, I was
really
wondering
appreciate
if we
your
could
call.
go back. Oh, thanks. Yeah. Hey, I was wondering real quick if we could go back and talk about the gay play. Are you guys not partners?
No, we're not partners, Bill.
Oh, you kind of come off as partners.
I don't know. You kind of come off as a douchebag. Hey, if you want to talk about sports, we can talk about sports. If we want to talk about how shitty Philly fans are, we got one right on the fucking line right now. You guys are a bunch of fucking dickweeds.
Caller. I love it. All right, we've got another caller on the line. I'm going to go check on them. So, Brandon, we'll see what happens.
Oh, Lord. That shit's so funny. But, yeah, Patriots, they're going to win the Super Bowl by 10 plus. That's the way it's going to happen because Philly's garbage. And that's why everybody fucking – Philly fans, I'm going to tell you right now, you're the only shitty fan base in the entire country that could possibly make the country root for the Patriots. Because you talk shit about 99-year-old women and you fucking spit and throw beer on people. Are you back, Brian?
We've got another caller. Yeah, we've got another caller. Mitch from St. Louis wants to talk about the comparison of Foles and Brady. So, Mitch, take it away, man.
Hey, how's it going? How's it going,
guys?
It's
going
Great
good
show tonight. Yeah, I was kind of just, looking at the comparisons between like Brady and Foles, and I want to know which one you think would wear like a bigger jockstrap.
Dude, Brady would definitely wear a bigger jockstrap. Dude,
the balls on Brady, definitely Brady.
Hey, let's talk about this for one. One, Brady is extremely handsome. Two, he's banging Giselle.
Hold on, this is my show. We're going to talk about hockey now.
No, we're not going to talk about hockey. You want to talk about Vladimir Škapinović throwing a fucking slap shot? I don't care. We're going to talk about Brady's cock going into you. That's what we're going to talk about.
Two bright colors. Man.
Oh, shit.
I need to start remembering these phone numbers they're calling in from.
No, let them call, dude. This is fun shit.
No, I like it. I will never turn down a prank caller. I will let them get their jab in.
Hey, Do you remember that dude called after
you ended up talking for like 10 minutes with that one guy about conspiracy theories and aliens and shit. Like it was.
No, remember he said dude, that was the best. He said he wanted to attach rocket ships to the Earth and be able to move it out of our asteroid's orbit. And like he said, I've been abducted. This is how he talked. I've been abducted by aliens, and then they shove shit up my asshole. Do you remember that? And you fucking hung up on him. I go, Brian, what are you doing? And you go, dude, we can't waste 15 minutes with this guy talking about shoving shit up his ass.
I'll never forget. I was doing Bloody Elbow Radio with Matt Bishop, and we had a guy call in, and we were talking about like how good of somebody was on the ground in UFC, like with their Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu ability. And this guy goes, I've actually rolled with him. And we're like, really? Tell us about it. And he's like, yeah, we were working on our Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. We were doing some sparring, and he got on top of me, and then he entered me. And we're just like, fuck! Because we were like so excited to hear this story of like how good that guy actually was on the ground, like from somebody with experience, and he was totally fucking with us.
Oh Lord,
that's what you got to deal with sometimes, but I love it.
Hey,
now so that actually gives us a good segue to switch to our next subject. Yeah, since we just had a Philly, well, he said he was a Philly fan. I don't know, but awful Eagles fans. So I'm sure you saw some videos out there of Eagles fans just treating some Vikings fans like absolute shit at the NFC Championship game, throwing stuff at them, taunting them, booing them. There's some videos out there of some Philly fans doing some pretty horrendous shit, and Philly fans have a pretty awful reputation. Like, it goes back 50 years, literally 50 years for Philly fans. But is there anything in particular you wanted to say about Philly fans before I get into my part?
Yeah, I mean, that shit includes the Phillies, the fucking Flyers, so that hockey douchebag it just called, and who else? Just the Eagles. And they all over the place. Like, do you remember that? Oh, what was it? It had to been like almost 10 years ago. But that guy intentionally threw up on an 11-year-old girl at the Philly stadium.
I remember that.
Yeah, he stuck his fingers down his throat and puked on it.
I think his name was the Puke Man.
I don't know what it was, but it was one of those. I'll never forget that. It's just shit like that, and they the Philly fans they fucking beat up the Chief Z, the fucking Redskins mascot. It was this like old black dude in the Chief Z outfit, and they just beat his ass. Just shit like that. Do you remember when they drafted McNabb? They booed the shit out of him.
That's on my list,
like a franchise quarterback.
It's just like having a great career, and then they boo the shit out of him.
Or the night he got Super Bowl and everything. Yeah, and they used to do things like the Philly fans are crazy. They throw in Remember wasn't it the Philly fans that threw the fucking big batteries on the field?
Yep, they threw batteries at J.D. Drew.
Yeah, and they threw beer bottles at Ryan Howard. Fucking douchebags. And oh my God.
I've got more if you want to hear them. Some all-time awful Philly fan moments. So I don't know if you remember this. This was when the Phillies were playing the Cardinals, and Albert Pujols was in his absolute prime. He's up to bat. Some asshole Philly fan has a giant green laser pointer, and he shines it right in Pujols' eyes while he's up to bat. You could literally see it on television. Just this big green shit on his face.
Like, probably a fucking shape of an eagle. Probably a shape of an eagle laser pointer right on his eye.
Here's classic Philly. Michael Irvin suffers a career-ending injury in 1999 at Philadelphia, and Phillies fans cheered. One of the greatest receivers of all time.
Yeah.
All right. Here's another one. This is a classic, okay? The very first person to ever have a successful hand transplant in the United States got brought out to throw the first pitch at a Phillies game, the ceremonial first pitch. and his pitch didn't go so well. He had a fucking hand transplant, okay? He bounced it. He got booed. He got booed by Philly fans. The first
so funny.
successful United States hand transplant got his ass booed. Come on, guys. And then number one all time, it's literally the 50-year anniversary this year. The Eagles fans booed Santa Claus. They brought him out at halftime of a game. They were on a 2-game winning streak at the time, and I think they were winning 7-0. And they booed Santa Claus at halftime and pelted him with snowballs.
That was like in 60s, huh?
1968, 50-year anniversary of Eagles fans booing Santa Claus. All-time worst moment in fan history. Who boos Santa Claus?
Do you know what's fucking hilarious about that? Is that they were actually trying to get O.J. Simpson. The Eagles were trying to get O.J. Simpson to be on their squad that year. Or they were trading for him. I can't remember something. So that shitty-ass, fucking criminal-ass fan base was about to get a murderer on their squad. Couldn't fit better. Fucking assholes. God, I cannot wait until Tom Brady just breaks his big jockstrap dick for that collar right off in Philly. Fucking who has a bigger dick, Nick Foles or Brady? What? That's ridiculous. That's like asking who has a bigger dick, that collar or me. It's fucking obvious. I'm swinging over here. I'm an alpha male. He's a fucking pussy.
All right.
Let's fucking roll with it.
We'll finish with one more. We'll finish the football conversation with one more football topic. And I know this is something you're pretty passionate about, but it is the UCF being champion posers after having their undefeated college football season in Central Florida. What are your thoughts on everything that's been going down recently with Central Florida?
This is a typical fucking. This is just an absolute typical. How do I put this? This is just typical for the millennials of this fucking generation. They're so entitled. They can't accept defeat. Like Hillary fans, you fucking lost. Trump's our president, but a year later they're still marching with pussies on their heads. Now, you got UCF raising national championship banners when they didn't win the national championship. It's ridiculous. They played nobody. And when who did they claim as their?
Auburn.
Oh yeah, Memphis. No, I'm talking about their regular season when they thought they should be in the playoff before they played Auburn. They played Memphis. They gave up 55 fucking points to them, and they gave up 42 points the week before to USF, who wasn't even ranked. And then on top of that, after that, they got Georgia Tech was their third game of the season. It got canceled due to weather or something. I can't remember what it was, but it got canceled, and I think it was due to that hurricane. And they never played them again. I'm not saying they would have lost to Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech was kind of mediocre this year, but that's a Power 5 school that runs an option that's hard to defend with a lot of athletes that could have possibly beat them. Before that, they smoked Cincinnati and East Carolina, and they won by 10 against one of the worst Navy teams we've had in a decade. They gave up 33 to Austin Peay. You know what I mean? Like, they only beat SMU by 7. They gave up 24 to UConn. What happens is you go into these bowl games. Auburn just got drilled by Georgia to the playoff. What the hell else do they really got to play for? It's a psychological thing. These guys, when you get to bowl season, even though they're in Auburn, even though they're in Alabama and they're in warm weather anyways, it's a vacation when they go to bowl games. They get to stay in a hotel in like places like Florida and Hawaii and all over the place. And even if you go to like Motor City Bowl and shit like that, you're still on vacation with your boys in hotels, eating grub, probably drinking some beers and doing whatever the fuck you want to do, going scoping some honeys and shit. The last thing you care about is we playing UCF. They did not. The game plan was not there. But on the flip side, UCF's like, man, we're playing Auburn. This is a chance to prove ourselves. We're going to play our hearts out. On top of that, they do got a great coach. Scott Frost is awesome. I'm a huge Florida Gators fan, and I was really pushing for him to be our coach. And he would have been our coach if Nebraska hadn't fired their coach and pretty much, brought him back to his alma mater. He would be our coach right now. So he's a great coach. He had a great game plan. He had people that are just playing their asses off. He had a fucking defensive end that has one hand. He has one hand. He literally has a nub for another hand, and he was making plays all over the field. They say he single-handedly won the game for them. So, yeah. I think it's one of those things, man, where you just got to realize that they had a great season. I respect them. I loved watching them play. They're on almost every parlay that I put together this year for betting tickets because they covered a lot, and I could pick the over. And they usually covered it. So, yeah, I really liked UCF, but they're not the best team. They would get their ass smashed. If they played Auburn in a playoff in a 14 playoff, Auburn would have beat the shit out of them because they had more to play. But on the flip side, Auburn was wildly inconsistent this year. They were winning against LSU, and they came back and lost. And they had a couple of bad losses this year or bad games this year. And it's just one of those things where I don't put too much stock in bowl games. I've seen, like, I'm a Florida Gators fan. We were a top 4 team when we played Louisville when Teddy Bridgewater was last year there, and we were heavy favorites. And there wasn't a spot on the field outside of quarterback that we shouldn't have smoked their ass, and they killed us. And that's just, you see that. Or like when Oklahoma got beat by Boise State. That shit's not going to happen during the season. It's just not. You don't see that many upsets during the season. You see in-conference upsets, but you see these out-of-conference mismatches that never usually play out, like when Ohio State plays Miami. Shit like that. You never see upsets like that. Well, you do, but randomly. In bowl season, you see it all the time. You see all these upsets constantly. Remember when Utah waxed Bama when Saban was there? Yeah, that shit happens. So I don't put too much stock into this shit. So am I taking away from UCF? Are they deserving of a top 5 ranking? Sure. Why not? Nobody was great this year. Nobody was really that spectacular. So yeah, they deserve to be a top 5 team. They earned that. They earned that respect. But they're coming back. But now they're saying they want to schedule all these like future games with like Bama and shit. Y'all just lost Scott Frost, and you replaced him with Josh Heupel, who's now fat. I don't know if you remember Josh Heupel, but he was the Heisman runner-up for Oklahoma in 2000 when they won the national championship over Florida State. He was a runner-up to Chris Winkie. He is now their coach. He was Missouri's offensive coordinator. He tore shit up. I mean, he's a great offensive mind, but he's unproven. So I think that this one season has got you these UCF people that are coming out of the woodwork thinking that they're now a staple in college football. No, you are now Utah. No, you're not even Utah. You're like when Tulane went like, I think it was 97, something like that, 97, 98. Tulane went 10-0, and everybody thought that they were going to be like a new like mid-major staple in college football. No, they suck. They're not shit anymore. So it's like that's what UCF is. They're going to be decent for a little while. And that's about it. They're not going to come back. They're not going to be 13, 14, 15-0 anymore. They lost their coach. They're not going to get those same recruits coming. So, yeah, it is what it is. So, congrats on the season. I am proud of them that, they went, they were 0-5 or 0-11 just 2 years ago. Now they went like 14-0. I think that's 13-0. They went 13-0 this year. And they're 0-11 like 2 years ago. So, yeah, that's an amazing accomplishment. Hats off to you. But don't be a pussy. Don't be these little stupid liberal millennial losers wearing pussy hats. You're now wearing a national championship hat. That is equivalent to a pussy hat marching down the fucking street. Okay? So if you're a part of those
playoffs, 8 teams, they would have got in for sure.
For sure. No, they wouldn't have actually. I think they would have got fucked on that, which would have been a travesty. By the way, I'm all for a 8-team playoff that features the 5 power conference champions, and you put in large people. And one of them being like the mid-major guys. I'm all for that. I'm also for expanding it to 6 teams and having the number 1, 2 seeds get buys. I mean, you can even do that. But people are thinking you can expand this shit to like 16 and 32 teams. I mean, that's ridiculous.
No, it's never going to get that.
Combat.
I think 8 would be perfect. Because I don't see why you would ever need to do 16. But I think 8 would be just right.
Yeah, and then they're expanding down and saying like Division 2, Division 3, FCS. All those guys they're in the they have a playoff system. And it's kind of extensive, Well, you want to know something? You get injuries in football, and as much as it sucks for them in Division 2, 3, like not to give as much respect, and they do produce a handful of NFL guys every couple of years. These guys in Division 1, you're kind of gambling with their futures. These guys are going to be going pro. Not all of them, obviously, a smaller percentage of them, but you're still playing with guys' lives when you're making them play an extra 2 games a season. And it's teams like Alabama and Miami, and I'm just thinking of like good defenses that are coming up right now that are smashing people. And you're going to make teams play extra games, and it's just like kind of like I could see expanding it to 8 and adding an extra game, but like at the end of the day, you got to think of health, and you got to think of the future of the NFL and all that stuff. So I'm a business guy, I'm business minded. I'd be a good freaking sports agent. I'm all about thinking down the road. The monetary value of things, and these guys are valuable, and I don't want to damage products by extending the season another game. Each game is another chance for somebody to pull their ACL. So that's my take on that. What do you think about UCF? Brian, are you there? Oh, I think I lost you. Let's see here. Let's ask and see if somebody else is. All
right. We got another caller.
You there, Brian?
We got Duke. Yeah, I'm here. We got Duke from Cleveland. He has something he'd like to say about the UCF situation, and he's not a fan of Alabama. So, Duke, take it away, man.
All right.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
No problem.
Our pleasure.
The UCF claim to the national title. I want to know if you guys think this has anything to do with the fact that Nick Saban has no soul and Jesus hates Alabama.
I think he has a soul. It's just been taken over by greatness. He's got that stone that's wrapped around that soul, and then you can never touch it. So it's in there. It's just he's harnessing all that power. I think that's what it is.
He sold that soul to the devil. Tom Brady.
Tom Brady?
My problem with saying that
so?
Jesus hates Alabama is if he hated them so much, why would they keep winning? And I hate Alabama. So I can't say Jesus hates Alabama because you would think he must like them a little bit if they keep winning the damn national championship every other year, which is just so frustrating to me. So I don't know. I have to counter the claim that divinity is against Alabama. If anything, they're in favor. Like they're blessed at times.
They say Jesus resides in the South, right? They're all churchgoers down there.
Alabama is one of the worst states in the United States in terms of like all the metrics, like bottom 5, but they just continually get the elite athletes. So something has to be going on over there that something right is going on over there at that college with their recruiting and everything, that they're able to continually get these elite NFL-ready players.
That's exactly what it is.
That's my side.
Well, what do you think about Tom Brady selling his soul? Do you think it's because he's so good at football, or he's so good-looking and he has a hot wife? Which part of it is it?
No. So Nick Saban sold his soul to the devil. Tom Brady showed me the receipt.
I like it.
Oh,
and
Lord,
that he might have made a deal with the devil, because how else would you get so many people to go to such an awful place? Like lowest, like literacy, lowest poverty. Like the only thing worse than Alabama is like Mississippi in terms of the United States and like the
Arkansas, brother.
Is Arkansas worse?
Pretty poor too.
I know.
It might be.
Pretty much all the SEC
between those 3 states.
All the SEC.
Yeah,
schools.
but that's why those fans are so rabid for the damn football, brother. That's all they got.
Yeah.
They live for those Saturdays.
Well, thank you so much for calling
You know what they always say? When you're unemployed, weekends are meaningless. You know who said that? Kenny's dad on South Park. He said,
"Oh, that's
you're
funny.
Unemployed, weekends are meaningless." And Kyle's dad's like, "I don't know what the fuck to say to that." Yeah. No, man, I get it. So you think that? What is your take on UCF though? I tried to ask you that, you kind of bluffed me. in mid-rant.
Well,
I came back to
my
silence.
take
I was
is,
like,
I didn't think that they belonged in the top 4, but they are my argument for an expanded playoff. I think that they, with the fact that they were able to beat Auburn, say what you want, Auburn beat Alabama and Georgia. So the fact that
Georgia
they
came
were
back
able
and
to
beat the shit out of them.
I know they did, but Auburn was capable of beating both teams in the national championship game, and UCF played amazing against them, and so I think that is a good argument for an expanded playoff, because based on the regular season alone, no, UCF did not deserve it, but they're a team that I think definitely would have been in an at-large bid for number 8, and who knows, like how amazing would it have been to see UCF beat like Ohio State in the first round and advanced and play somebody else if they'd have played Auburn, and then that would have sent them to play, an Oklahoma or a Clemson. Like they're the ultimate underdog. It's like when George Mason went to the Final Four,
Hey, you know what? I'm all for UCF beating Ohio State's ass to get further in the playoffs. You know that, son.
Yeah. Well, with how inconsistent the Buckeyes were this year, it could have happened. I mean, the team that lost to Iowa could have got beat by anybody in the country that night.
Not Florida. We were fucking Garbo.
Didn't you pick Florida to win the national championship during our college football season?
You're goddamn right I did. Goddamn right I did. I don't give a shit.
I need to go back and save that audio.
I don't care. Whatever. I didn't pick the Patriots to go win the Super Bowl, but I picked them undefeated. Remember, I said they're going to run the table?
Yeah.
And then they lost to the Chiefs. I was like, fuck. Yeah. There goes that idea.
Yeah.
But yeah,
they lost their first game.
Yeah. I was like, Jesus.
What a wild
Sure
year.
that I cursed them for sure. Oh, yeah, real quick. Who do you think deserves NFL MVP? Do you think Tom Brady deserves it? Do you think that Todd Gurley deserves it? Or do you think Carson Wentz deserves it, even though he missed 3 games?
I go Todd Gurley, man. They always give it to quarterbacks, but, I mean, Gurley had an absolutely monster year on a revitalized Rams team that was one of the better teams in the league because of him. I mean, yeah, Goff was good, but Gurley is the best running back in the NFL right now, and he had an awesome year. So I think he should
I did say that Goff's going to be very improved with McVay, and I didn't say he's going to be this good. I did, but I remember I did say, I was like, expect a bounce back season from Goff, and I thought Todd Gurley would have a bounce back season. I made a huge mistake in fantasy football this year. I actually had Todd Gurley in the queue. I was a second overall pick. Obviously, I got fucked in taking David Johnson because Paul took Le'Veon Bell, who I thought I was going to have. I thought Paul was going to take, because David Johnson was number 1 in the queue. Paul usually kind of takes whoever's there, the best player available. So I was like, yes, I'm going to get Bell. That's who I really wanted anyway, and he took Bell. So I got stuck with David Johnson, which it was all right, but he obviously got hurt. My second pick coming through, I took A.J. Green. And I needed to get a receiver, and obviously receivers the last couple of years have been going like candy, you know what I mean? So I really had no other top receivers to pick from. So I took him, and I knew I was going to wrap around. Well, I had Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley fell through the cracks. And we were in an 8-team league, so it's not like a 12-team league, So he went all the way through. I had him in the queue, and I had Brandon Cooks in the queue, and I'm like, you know what? Brandon Cooks, not only is he a slot threat, but he is a deep threat as well, and he got Tom Brady. I thought he was going to be Welker on steroids.
You had a chance to get early in the second round, and you didn't get it? You didn't take it?
No, I took Brandon Cooks.
Oh, my God.
I took Brandon Cooks. Well, here's the deal. Dude, Gurley was coming off of a shitty season where he's averaging like 3.4 yards a carry, and I wasn't sure how much of a difference the offense was going to be. The offensive line was shitty last year, but 2, I thought Brandon Cooks, along with everybody in the freaking country, was going to have a monster year with Tom Brady because he has a slot presence like Welker, but he also is a deep ball threat. So I was like, this guy's just going to kill it this year. Like he's going to lead the damn NFL in receptions and all this other shit. And he was a bust. He was a bust in terms of how everybody drafted him, his expectations and everything. And I was like, once David Johnson went down, like I was So I had a bunch of really good receivers. I had no running backs. I was playing with fire at running all year. I was picking up people like Alex Collins, trying to slide them in. I was doing all kinds of shit. But yeah, I had a chance to get Todd Gurley, and I blew it picking Brandon Cooks. So I was really pissed. Cooks is never playing for me again, ever. He's banned. Every year I have a player that fucks me, and I ban him from my team forever. So he's done. He's never coming back. But yeah, I wouldn't mind Gurley getting the NFL MVP. I would have no issue with that. I love Tom Brady. He's one of my favorite players, but I have no issue with Gurley getting it. If Tom Brady gets it, I don't feel like you could have an argument against that either. He led the league in passing yards, and his touchdown to interception ratios it was damn impressive, especially for a 40-year-old. He had the highest passer rating outside of Deshaun Watson. So yeah, why would you not take him? You can take him as MVP too. They're going to the Super Bowl. They won 13 games. So yeah, I'm good. I'm good with that. And
right.
That's all I really have to say about that one.
And so, do you still got time for a little UFC 220 talk?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, we'll keep this brief. We'll just stick to the main event. But it was Stipe Miocic against Francis Ngannou, and heading into the fight, Francis Ngannou was getting so much hype from the UFC, from the mass media. Like, they were just pushing this guy crazy hard. And I'll admit, I thought he was going to knock Stipe out, because I've watched Stipe's entire career inside the UFC, and I remember him getting knocked out not knocked out, but TKO'd by Stefan Struve in his first headlining fight. And then I remember Alistair Overeem dropping him with his first big punch in Stipe's first title defense. So I'm just thinking, Ngannou hits harder than anybody in the history of MMA that has ever thrown a punch. He's got the most powerful punch that's ever been measured. And I'm like, if this guy just hits Stipe once, he's in huge, deep shit. And Stipe's going to have to fight perfectly to avoid that. And I just didn't think he could, because he hadn't really shown that great defensive striking or anything. And holy shit, did Stipe show up. I mean, he came out in that first round, and Ngannou was trying to tear his head off with every punch. And Stipe was juking and jiving and ducking under and shooting for takedowns. And then the second he'd see an opening, he'd launch in a counter punch, and he was using a lot of movement. I mean, it was a game of cat and mouse in the first round. You really thought that at any moment Ngannou was just going to tear Stipe's head off. But he didn't do it. Like, he landed one good punch, and Stipe's eyes almost swelled completely shut from one punch.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I was real quick
on the edge of my
Real quick.
Go ahead.
On the power punching. Didn't they say that his punching power measured twice that of McGregor's?
I believe so. I mean, he's a heavyweight too.
No.
You can pull a lot more force if you're twice the size.
No. This was per pound. Like, it was like a.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It was like a chain. Yeah, it was like, how the hell am I supposed to put it? They basically flattened out the playing field for that. I can't really.
Okay. I didn't know about that.
I'm trying to think of the word to use, but they basically leveled the playing field, so it'd be like it was equal. And they said that
the punching power per pound type of thing.
Yes, per pound.
That's amazing if that's
twice.
True, because I mean, he already was hitting that hard, but if he's that hard per pound is even crazier. But yeah, I mean, this guy is scary. I mean, if you watched his knockout of Arlovsky or Overeem, I mean, he literally lifts dudes off the ground with his uppercuts when he knocks them out. Like, they go airborne briefly. That's how hard he hits them. So
what's your take on
Stipe,
Dana White?
Yeah. Well, Dana is always following the money. And as much as I love Stipe, he's not the most marketable guy. He's kind of a, boring, jokester, cheesy white dude. And Francis Ngannou is a guy that you could market as the next Tyson. So, of course, Dana White was all aboard the Francis Ngannou hype train, because he knew that he could make a lot more money with that guy. People would pay to watch this guy show up, fucking destroy someone in a minute, and then leave. Like that's what happened with Ronda Rousey. That's what happened with a lot of the great fighters that have made a shit ton of money. So
yeah, did you see
Dana
the picture like with
dollar
when
sign.
Stipe was on top of him? Like Dana White's basically hands like in his face, like shit.
Yeah, he's
I
just
lost
like
my cash
fuck
cow.
me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically Stipe played survival in the first round, and then the second Ngannou starts to slow down, Stipe just started unloading on him in the second round, realized that it was going to be really difficult to knock this guy out on the feet, so Stipe started wrestling with him too, and then he just basically took him down or clinched for the next 3 rounds and easily won a monster unanimous decision. I mean, it was
I thought
a perfect game plan for a fight. I thought Stipe could have tried to knock him out with ground and pound, but I think he was playing it a little more safe. So I
thought
think
he could have
finished it. Yeah, I thought he could have went for a submission or went for a ground and pound finish, but I think he was more focused on just keeping him in positions where Ngannou couldn't hit him back, which I understand because when he did get hit, it hurt. So I have to give mad props to Stipe though for fighting a perfect fight.
Yeah, and another thing, it just exposed that Ngannou was he's just a one-trick pony at this particular point in his career. He's only been in there for 4 years. I mean, he hasn't really, he hasn't trained jiu-jitsu or anything like that.
Stipe was already in the UFC.
Yeah,
when Ngannou started his first fight. Now
to keep it MMA on UFC, what do you think of basically McGregor getting stripped of that title?
He deserved it. I mean, he's never defended one of his belts. He's never defended one. He beat Aldo, and then he never fought at featherweight again. And then they let him do his back-to-back fights against Nate Diaz, and then they gave him a title shot at lightweight. He beats Alvarez, and he never defended that belt.
Yeah,
and it's been
I'm
over a year.
I'm a major McGregor fan. I love McGregor, but at this point, I'm starting to get kind of tired of this bullshit. Like, getting on there fighting, just playing and I'm just like, you need to stop.
He got a taste of that fuck you Mayweather money, and he wants it in the UFC. I mean, he was making like in the tens of millions of dollars in the UFC, which is more than anybody else. But when he fights Mayweather and gets $100 million, that's eye-opening to him to see just how much more money he's been leaving on the table. And so he wants a piece of that too. And UFC's not going to do it. And they're playing hardball.
I agree, man. But I would like, they're saying that if Khabib beats Ferguson, that he may not give McGregor that fight. That's what he said. Because basically saying McGregor has one. He's saying McGregor would have one fight at that weight class and he would deserve it over the next challenger. But I think that once he looks at the contract and realizes what kind of money he could be making, he will. That's that retirement money, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And honestly, McGregor against Ferguson or Khabib would be a great fight. Like, both of those guys are on massive streaks. I think Ferguson's won 11 in a row and Khabib's 25-0 as a fighter. So either way, it's guys on tremendous streaks with a shit ton of confidence against McGregor. So I want to see either of those, and I hope that they're able to make it happen.
Yeah.
So
real quick, last one on MMA is Blaine, one of the guys that started that belly up with us. He sent me a video of Aaron Pico, who just KO'd a dude with a liver shot. Did you see that?
Yes, I did. That was at the Bellator on Saturday night.
Yeah.
He was fighting
a
guy,
my
and
God,
it was one of the best body punch knockouts I've ever seen. Do you know much about Aaron Pico?
Oh, I know everything about Aaron Pico. I'm a huge wrestling fan, and I watched him in person at Iron Man as a high school freshman. He's a monster. And
it was crazy. Like, Bellator had so much hype behind him when he first got signed, and then
he got
KO'd. He didn't get KO'd. He got rocked on the feet in his first fight. He faced a guy that had like 12 fights in his MMA debut because he wanted to get thrown right in the fire right away. And he faced a guy, and that guy rocked him right away and then choked him out in like less than a minute. But you know what?
Oh, he got choked out. I thought he got ground and pound for some reason.
Yeah, it was choked out. I'm almost positive. But you know what? He got back on the horse. He faced people that were a little bit lower level of competition, but still guys that weren't making their debut or anything. And in his next two fights, he's absolutely mauled guys. So he's still a guy that I can't wait to see fight. I just wish that they had not thrown him so deep into the fire right away for his debut, even if he did have
20 years
the
old.
wrestling. Yeah, he's crazy young, and he is extremely talented. So I'm really excited to see them develop him. Because
he
has
him when he was like 17. He might have been 16 when Bellator signed him.
Yeah, they signed him to like a developmental contract, like a futures contract type of situation.
Yeah, and he was our future for our wrestling. Like he was just graduating high school, but he was he was like homeschool type situation. But he should have made our Olympic team when we just went and just past the Olympics. He lost on like basically a last second move. It was a 4-point move by Frank Molinaro, but yeah, he should have been on our Olympic team at the age of 19. And it would have been amazing for, actually I think he might have been 18. But he had some big time wins under his belt in the freestyle wrestling rankings, and the dude's just a monster. And now he's fighting Bellator, and that was always his plan from the get go. That's why he skipped college. Well, he still goes to college, but he didn't wrestle in college. He's taking like classes now, like through like Northern Colorado or someplace like that. And but yeah, he's I think that he's got a major future in MMA. I think he'll be a champ one day. And that body shot was just so fast, and the way he just like he was a junior Olympic champ. Like he's a state champ, national champ for boxing. So not only was he one of the best wrestlers in the whole entire world for his age, he's one of the best boxers in the entire country for his age. And yeah, that body shot was just so fast. He faded with that right and just like bam, left right to the liver. He just collapsed him. And it was just like that sound was just like so clean. It was awesome. That was some Tyson shit right there.
It was.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get more towards wrapping things up. Do you have any rants of the week or anything, or was that more geared towards the Philly fans?
That's more geared towards the Philly fans.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm good.
But I do have a couple gems if you guys are up for it.
Yeah. Yeah, let's hear
it. All right, let's do it. M's Gems time. If it'll
Wow, winning.
So this week for M's Gems, we have a couple things. First off, I want people to check out a couple things on Netflix. Planet Earth 2 is on Netflix. I think it's the greatest nature documentaries that have ever existed. If you haven't seen it, there's just one section on these hatching sea iguanas running away from snakes. Running for their lives right after hatching. Like that's like just from the first episode. But if you just watch the whole thing, there are just fucking insane, some of the craziest, best television that's ever been made. And highly, highly recommend checking out Planet Earth 2. It's on Netflix. And then also on Netflix is The Good Place. I had no idea what this was. It was recommended to me. I went and checked it out. And it's got Kirsten Bell, Ted Danson. And basically Kirsten Bell dies and she gets sent to heaven, but she was a terrible person and they got it wrong. And she's trying to like keep up the lie so she doesn't get sent to hell. So it's a very interesting concept for a show. And the further you go into it, the more interesting it gets, the more plot twists and all kinds of crazy stuff happens. It's just a really unique concept for a show. So highly recommend checking that one out as well. So I'll keep them short since we're going to be doing 2 shows a week. I don't want to just unload
I do got one
right away. Oh, you got one, huh?
I got one for you. Black Mirror on Netflix.
Oh yeah,
man, that's like the Twilight Zone of our era.
Yes, I have been addicted to Black Mirror since the first episode when the Prime Minister of England has to screw a pig on national television.
Yeah. So yeah,
so I watched that and I was like, this is something new. Like, holy shit. like jaw dropping.
Yeah, it's like new characters, new stories every time. And the one that I watched that I really liked was these. You get this like handheld thing, and it's when they're dating. Did you see that one where they get like matched up with different people?
Yep.
And you get this.
That one was my favorite of the new season.
Yeah, it's got like the how much time you get to spend with them. So you have to spend like 2 years with these people, and at the end, if you're not their exact match, you go and you just basically go to a new person. That shit was cool.
Yep. That was an awesome episode, and I hope it wins them some awards and shit. So highly recommend.
Definitely.
So I am all aboard the Black Mirror train. I can't remember. I just couldn't remember if I'd ever even recommended that one. So but the new season just came out. So if you haven't watched it, please do. It is spectacular. So all right, I think that'll do it for just about everything we had for today's show. So we'll be back on Thursday night. We'll probably be doing some UFC previews and then just whatever else crazy shit has gone on in the world of sports in the next couple days. And then we'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming of Monday night at 10 p.m. and Thursday nights at 10 p.m. moving forward. So just remember, tonight was just a one-off because of the debut of Belly Up, the Belly Up website. So make sure to check in with us Mondays and Thursdays. We'll be posting all of our archived podcasts on the Belly Up site, our SoundCloud, our YouTube, and our Facebook page as well. So make sure to check all of that stuff out. Do you have any closing words, Brandon?
Yeah, just like I said, we just started the Belly Up Sports. We're really excited, and we're really pushing this hard. Check us out at Belly Up Sports on Twitter, Belly Up Sports on Facebook, bellyupsports.com is our website. Check out my blogs. Blaine will be writing some blogs. Brian will be writing some blogs if he has the time. I know Mike's looking into writing some blogs, and so we're going to be blogging it up. And if you guys have anybody out there is interested in writing for that, we'll be happy to let you publish your stuff on our site. Get your word out there. If there's any, we're talking about this. If there's college students out there trying to get build up their resume for when they graduate, and they say, hey, I've been writing for this site. We can do that for you. Internships, stuff like that. So, check us out, bellyupsports.com, at Belly Up Sports, and Belly Up Sports for the Facebook. And check us out, like us, share us. We're going to be doing some giveaways that get our name out there. So super pumped. That's pretty much it. And
all right,
let's go ahead and go out with fucking Rick Roll.
Get Rick Roll, bitches.
Yeah.